10,000 consecutive vote last night. What did that moment mean to you, and what's your reaction to that?
It was very exciting last night to cast my 10,000 consecutive vote, and all the time that I've had the honor to serve Maine in the United States Senate, I have never missed a single vote. That sets a record in history. There is one other senator who has had a longer stretch but missed some votes early in his time for the Senate. I was truly touched when so many of my colleagues came to the floor to be there and honor me as I cast that vote. In many ways, my commitment to always showing up, my work ethic, is a reflection of the values of the people of Maine. Growing up in Aroostook County, I learned to work hard, to persevere, and to keep my commitments. It started when at age 10, I picked potatoes for a local farmer, and I remember my mother telling me that I could not quit because the farmer was counting on me. So it's that work ethic that I have had my entire life, and it was a very special moment last night.
All right.
Hey people, Susan Collins, that is awesome. That, beyond anything of the politics, just your individual commitment and, wow, what a gift. I know sometimes I look back at my own life and I feel like I've moved in so many different directions. My commitments have wavered. I've let go of this. I've moved on to that. And Susan Collins, I'm so impressed. Let's go listen to more, see what else she says here.
Years now, of course, your presumptive challenger in November's election, Graham Platner, another scandal, I guess you would say, coming out in the New York Times yesterday. What's your reaction to it? Have you had a chance to read the story? And what's the takeaway from you?
The allegations in the latest story are troubling, and I believe that Graham Platner has a lot of questions to answer.
Do you think it will cost him votes, and should it cost him votes this November?
Well, that's really up to the people of Maine. That's really up to the people of Maine. So we'll see what happens.
I'd like to hear about what's going on her politics and what she sees in the year 2026. It's pretty obvious to me that she is not a young woman, that she looks like she might have a little bit of a nervous system thing that almost reminds me of a Parkinson's type of look. I think it would be great if senators, as they're getting on, could groom someone to replace them, find somebody who they really love and think embodies their own vision and philosophy, and do that kind of old-fashioned thing where, all right, I'm stepping down and this is my choice, and I'm going to campaign with this person next year and see that this person takes over my vision. Let's see if she has anything more to say.
Pension centers and report back to Congress. So those provisions are all very important safeguards. But I think it's also important that everyone understand that if that bill were not passed, that eventually the money that is needed to pay for Border Patrol, for the Homeland Security investigations, which includes child exploitation cases, human trafficking, drug smuggling, counterfeiting of goods, would come to a screeching halt because the law enforcement officials would not be able to conduct those investigations. So those law enforcement officials are doing important roles, and one can disagree with how the stepped up enforcement was done, as I do, but still recognize how important they are.
Thank you for saying that, Susan. You disagree with the way it's all been done. I would add my disagreement to that. I wish more Republicans would speak strongly in their disagreement with the whole approach that President Trump unveiled in his second term with the masked ICE weaponized. It's not just weaponized. It's sort of like a military takedown of situations that needn't be. I know they shouldn't be wearing any mask when they do their job. No American police officers or even military men. You go out and fight a war, you don't wear a mask, be hidden. I think there's something so fundamentally wrong with that. I think Susan feels the same way on that.
Our nation's security, including blocking terrorists from coming into this country.
Thank you, guys.
Very good. Thanks,
Thank
Senator
you.
Collins, for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, maybe I'll find something fresh from Graham Platner. I haven't really seen that too much of what's, you hear all this noise about Platner and read some of the stuff, but what I perceive him sort of being the new kind of Democrat that is like got his sleeves rolled up. He reminds me of Fetterman, kind of a macho guy. We'll show you Republicans who can be rough. We can be tough too. I don't know. Feels like
The battle for Maine's Senate seat continues. Senate candidate Graham Platner is accusing Senator Susan Collins of funneling money to her husband.
Collins' campaign saying that simply is not true, saying her husband has not been a lobbyist since 2008. As Bonnie Bishop reports, the senator's team wants proof.
Platner's pitch to pass the Collins rule, which is named after his opponent, is one of many things that he has listed on what he calls his corruption crackdown agenda.
We must pass the Collins rule. Senators should not be able to funnel money to their spouses.
Platner is accusing the incumbent senator of giving millions in federal contracts to her husband's lobbying firm from agencies she oversees. This during the years of 2009 and 2016.
That is not a coincidence. That is a senator using her office to enrich her own household. In plain sight.
We asked the lobbying firm what the federal money was used for, but haven't heard back as of 5. Meantime, Senator Collins' campaign pushing back.
I was saying he's lying. Susan Collins has not funneled any money to Tom Daffern. That's against the law. That's a criminal activity. He's accusing her of engaging in a criminal activity with no evidence.
Her campaign manager says Congress does not award contracts.
Susan Collins has never awarded a contract in her life. Neither has anybody else who's ever worked in the United States Senate.
Congress appropriates the funding that agencies use to award contracts. Collins' husband was registered as a lobbyist up until 2008, according to the United States Senate lobbying disclosure forms. They wed in 2012. Collins started on the Appropriations Committee in 2009, becoming a ranking member in 2023 and the chair in 2025. The campaign wants proof of what Platner is claiming.
Give me a fact. I'll take any fact. Give me one fact that shows that this happened.
Platner was pressed for evidence backing his claims. He says the relationship between Senator Collins and her husband creates an obvious connection.
Any normal person can see that if you are directly tied to the power of the United States Senator and you yourself benefit from it, and that senator's household benefits from it, that there's obviously some form of connection there. The American people, and actually I'll go even further than that.
Other parts of Platner's corruption crackdown agenda include banning Congress members and their spouses from trading stocks with the penalty of imprisonment and keeping billionaires out of election spending.
Well, yep. Platner is he's tough. He means business there. I don't think I particularly trust him. But as long as he can ratchet up the anti-Trump noise, and, President Trump is guaranteed to do something every day to upset many people, including perhaps even Republicans. Yes, indeed. If I was a Republican, and I am, at least on some fundamental level, I'm not sure what that. I'll go with the Gordon Woods definition. I think I've been through that before. Let's try one more thing from Graham Platner, just trying to share a sense of who he is. When he says it's obvious, that sounds to me like the kind of mentality that I hear everywhere. Oh, that's obvious, or everybody knows. But he's looking for some takedown of, and it reminds me also of Gavin Newsom and his corruption charges and what he's done. I think what Gavin has done is much more obvious.
Ourselves to be fooled so many times. We have seen the greatest con. People are sicker, hungrier, poorer than they were before.
This is Gavin Newsom.
And this is Brian Tyler Cohen.
Brian, it's great you're joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming all the way up to Sacramento.
Well, I was, it's not the longest trip.
You're a Hollywood guy, right?
That's
You're
it.
LA, you're Mr.
Yeah.
LA?
Yeah.
People forget you were an actor years ago.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
How did that, was it that forgettable?
Yes. In fact, it was.
Seriously, when you got out of college, was that your
still.
dream?
It was. I wanted to move out to Los Angeles and work in the entertainment industry. I worked at Fox Broadcasting Company. It was my first job.
That was your first, huh?
Yeah. So, Simpsons and Family Guy, like that whole universe.
Right.
That's where I was for 5.
I was wondering, I thought this guy who opened up was the host, but apparently Gavin is the host. Let's jump forward. I have no idea what they're going to get into here. And apparently, Brian Tyler Cohen, why Democrats need to do more than just fight Trump. All right. Let's see what Newsom says. Voting rights reform.
What your investment of time and energy in this chapter represented.
I mean, that is the basis of democracy. I think even as I advocate for Prop 50 here in California, as I advocate for it in Virginia, and I'm sure that they'll get it done as we head toward 2028.
Yeah.
But more
Back
broadly,
to the courts in Virginia.
right? But more broadly, I mean, as we look for it to be done in New Jersey and Colorado, Illinois, Oregon, Washington, Maryland, so that we can counteract what's happening, I will concede it's a race to the bottom. What I'm saying more broadly, though, is that we can't be in a position to unilaterally disarm.
Oh, there it is. There it is. It's a race to the bottom, but we can't unilaterally disarm. Oh, my God. There it is. Isn't that it, people? Isn't that just what we've been dealing with on this planet? Yeah. Let's be a hawk. We can't stop this Cold War. We can't stop this hot war. We can't unilaterally disarm. Oh my God, he just said it, huh? Wow, interesting.
But recognizing that it is a scourge on democracy, we do need to fix this. I mean, we need proper districts and real representation, so that also we don't have the most extreme candidates running in these races because they're so fixed depending on whether it's a red state or a blue state. And I think that we're losing large swaths of people, and that's bad for democracy. You don't create a healthy democracy by having, R plus 72 districts or D plus 65 districts where there's such a vast gap between the left and the right, where yes, the extremes do proliferate, and you lose so many people in the middle, and they lose faith in government, and it's that vacuum of.
But of course, Gavin did bring that on in California. Let's see what he got a quote here from this. Besides Gavin's fines. Meanwhile, Newsom has been sharing clips from his book tour across social media, teasing at both the 2026 midterms and 2028 presidential election. Quote, "There will not be a fair and free election in the United States of America as we know it unless we win back the House of Representatives this November." So let's see. There will not be a free and fair election unless we win. Okay, well, that sounds Trumpian. There will not be a fair and free election in the United States of America as we know it unless we win back the House of Representatives this November. Newsom told former Democratic National Committee Chair Jamie Harrison in South Carolina last month. Trump, quote Newsom, Trump, quote, wants to flood the zone, but we are capable of doing much more, and I absolutely do believe the next president, particularly if it's a Democrat, has to prove that as well, he told a crowd in Nashville. So, let's see. We understand that sentence? If Trump wants to flood the zone, we are capable of doing much more. We can flood the zone. Oh my God, watch that. That'd stop his criminal behavior. We can do it. But there, looking over the shoulder of Tyler here, that young man in a hurry, his book tour across the country is the latest experiment in delivering a democratic message to voters, while Newsom's memoir, Young Man in a Hurry, where was I? Young Man in a Hurry, a memoir of discovery. That's his book, his intro to who I am and why I should be president or whatever, because I'm a young man in a hurry. Focuses on his upbringing, struggles with dyslexia, and rise through California politics. The book tour has been defined by the undercurrent of political races yet to come. And, of course, Newsom has faced blowback for some of his comments on the book tour thus far. However, Fox News host Sean Hannity, this is a news thing. You may have seen this, people, right? This quote that got Gavin in a little trouble. Fox News host Sean Hannity slammed Newsom for his comments to a crowd in Atlanta last month that, quote, I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. Oh, Sean Hannity slammed Newsom for his comments. Republican Senator Tim Scott, who is black, and called his comments patronizing and ridiculous. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. He said it to a crowd of people witnessing his town hall who were almost all black people. Newsom was full of ire about this, fired back at Hannity over the controversy, writing on social media, "You're going to call me racist for talking about my lifelong struggle with dyslexia? Spare me your fake effing outrage, Sean." Wow. So there's a good answer back, Newsom. So when you made that comment, you're saying that you're implying that it was dyslexia again. You're going to call me a racist for talking about my lifelong struggle with dyslexia? I mean, I guess that's the point, that somehow I was dyslexic when I said I'm a 960 SAT guy. I'm no better than you. Spare me your fake effing outrage, Sean. Kind of overacting there a little bit, Gavin. I mean, you made a faux pas. You stuck your foot in your mouth with that comment, didn't you? Anyways, Tyler, do I have to listen to this again? Did he start off by saying that we have to do more than the Cold War?
A bill that claims to be a voter ID bill, which is really a registration bill, which is a pick your choose your vote. I mean, so how do you square that?
Again, I mean, it's never gonna be perfect, and you cannot refuse to wield power for fear of the other side abusing it when we're in a position where they're already abusing it. So yes, do you take a risk? Absolutely, but with that risk comes reward, and I think we're in a position where we need to take some action because time's up. Like we're losing democracy, and we are not heading toward autocracy. We are there. We have a kleptocratic government. We are in a post-law society.
Oh, for God's sakes. Yes, we are, but look at the man you're talking to there, Tyler. Holy cow. Gavin Newsom has agreed to pay a $31,500 fine after California's political watchdog agency found he'd missed deadlines to report more than $5.5 million in donations made by major corporations at his behest, largely tied to recovery efforts for the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires. The state's Fair Political Practices Commission, FPPC, said in its decision that the 36 donations which were made in 2024 and 2025 were disclosed between 64 and 229 days late. The state's Political Reform Act, which regulates campaign finance laws, requires elected officials to report donations of $5,000 or more made at their request to other organizations within 30 days. Now, these are not $5,000 or more. It's a total $5.5 million. The FPPC's chief of enforcement noted in the decision that Newsom paid a $13,000 fine for a similar violation, failing to timely disclose 18 donations back between 2019 and 2024, totaling $14.4 million. So this is the second time he's been fined for behesting, which is asking for donations from big money people to supposedly help California. So Mr. Bonebreak, Kendall Bonebreak, FPPC's chief of enforcement. That sounds threatening. All right, Kevin, I'm sure you managed to survive having that name so far. There is evidence to suggest these violations were part of a pattern of repeated violations as Newsom failed to timely file 18 behested payments in a previous case. Bonebreak did owe it her, but I saw Kevin. Anyways, Kendall. Oh, Kendall is a woman. All right, so Kendall, over the course of the office holding, Newsom and his office have timely filed hundreds of behested payment reports. And this is like in Newsom's favor. So there have been hundreds of behested payment reports. This is a California government that is like, takes in how many $1 billion in taxes every year? And Newsom has been legally behesting contributions, apparently not from anybody on your street, but from big corporations to help him. Wow. After Governor Gavin Newsom announced this week that the U.S. Department of Justice may be investigating his wife, Miss Jennifer Siebel Newsom, media and pundits pounced on millions in charity payments he has solicited for nonprofits, including ones she's involved in. And I haven't got to the bottom of this. I've heard some stuff. I haven't found the news article. I was looking up in Sacramento Bee, and I don't think they've devoted a reporter to getting into this, the charity payments that she was involved in, to really get into that story. Behested payments aren't illegal in California, but long before Newsom started asking for them, many have found them unsavory with good cause. A behest, after all, is by definition a command, or at least a strong suggestion. Right. You're a corporation, a fine upstanding corporation like Meta or Blue Shield or BlackRock or Google. You're a community-oriented organization, and your very own governor of California reaches out to you and says, we need a donation. There's nothing wrong with that, is it? This article goes on further. Anytime a politician is commanding money, regardless of the purpose, there is at least the appearance that the giver, Meta, Google, Blue Shield, for example, may expect something in return. You think? I think so too. Oh yeah, well, we just gave you $1 million, Meta, Google, Blue Shield, fill in the blanks, BlackRock. Yeah, you're on our side now, aren't you, Newsom? You noticed that, didn't you? Wow, and that brings me back to his recall effort. Was it last? I think it was the recall when he was given something like $60 million in donations to fend off the recall, which he certainly didn't need, and I don't think he used more than $1 million. I never heard what happened to all that money. Maybe it got returned. It may seem absurd that the Trump administration could be investigating Newsom for questionable ethics when Trump has hawked everything from crypto coins to sneakers from the Oval Office. But the problem Newsom now faces is that behested payments are actually skeevy. This is obviously a opinion piece, but I'm liking it. Skeevy. I haven't heard that word in a while. Skeevy. Shady, I guess. And legal or not, they make an excellent target for pummeling the presidential contender, especially because some of the charities are tied to his wife. The Newsom case has blown it wide open, but this has been an issue for years. Sean McMorris told me. He's a McMorris said that while these payments don't violate any laws, they are ripe for abuse because companies and people likely aren't giving cash just to be good citizens. If you or I called up PG&E, etc., you're not going to get them to donate to your cause. The entire system, McMorris points out, doesn't really work unless you're shaking down people who you know need things from you as a politician. Anyhow, Gavin Newsom, I wish you nothing but a retirement and your just karma.
Have you ever seen a magical...
For the destruction of California. No, I'm talking about the incredible, disgraceful mandated housing, which is a transfer of power to BlackRock, to all these great real estate corporations. People think about that with equity, when 15% are affordable housing, and that's going to be starting at the median income. The destruction, particularly here in Marin County, which ironically, that's where Gavin Newsom is apparently bought a almost $10 million house. I'm sure he can afford that. We need an alteration on the planet here in terms of restoring some common ground, the left-right thing, where Newsom gets the sort of like just like Joe Biden or whatever Democratic leader. Oh, he's the good guy, you know. He's ignore because he's not Trump. But I would point out to everybody that this is not good at all. They're doing severe mischief and destruction in the name of the Democratic Party, or that we hate Republicans and there's a crisis and we must rush to the bottom, as Tyler said.